Welcome back to the channel. Drew here, and Tesla has been the most controversial automaker in the good part of a decade. But recently there's new controversy that it hasn't had to deal with for many years. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how I feel, my take on how Tesla compares to new EV competition. We're going to talk about Tesla as a company going into a recession. How is it positioned to survive a recession in 2023? And lastly, how does all this information affect the Toro business? Let's talk about it. Let's jump right in. All right, first topic is, and first of all, I feel like I'm super qualified to answer to discuss this. I've been following Tesla for over a decade now. I actually worked for the company for a short period of time, and not the automotive side, but their energy division, Tesla Energy, and with energy packs and solar panels and all that stuff. In addition to that, I've worked for what some would call a legacy automaker, one of the big American automakers, for 7 years. And so I have a lot of information concerning this, and I have pretty strong opinions, and I feel confident in opinions. So first thing we're going to talk about is the Tesla as a car. How does Tesla stack up to finally new competitive competition? And we see many EVs now coming on the market. If we look back at 2021, Tesla had 70% of the US EVs were Teslas. In 2022, 65%. So even last year, where there was other vehicles out there, Tesla had 65% of all EVs were Teslas. So they kind of dominate the market. Is this the beginning of the end? Is this every year where they kind of drop down as far as that goes? My take is that can Tesla compete with the new competitive products? My take is absolutely, and the reason is very simple. They have so many competitive advantages compared to other EVs. Now look, you can come out with a cool style, you can come out with something new or quirky that sets you apart, but Tesla just has built-in advantages that no other EV manufacturers can compete with, and we're going to list them off here. The first is their charging structure. There's number one, especially people who are new to EVs. Their biggest fear is running low on battery, not being able to get a charge. Tesla solves that problem. They have tens of thousands of charging stations nationwide, every area, just about every 100 miles on any highway, there's a Tesla supercharging station. But that's just the beginning part. There's other networks of charging stations that, as far as the amount of chargers and so forth are out there. But the difference is the consistency, the consistency of the charging stations that work, are available. They charge super fast, and so people who are new to the EV market, that really sets themselves out from anything else that anybody has an advantage of. Even some of the newer high-speed chargers, when you look at people who actually use the vehicles, a lot of times you get there and the charger doesn't work and there's no support. Teslas do not have those problems. If you've owned a Tesla before, you know their supercharging systems are extremely consistent. And even if there's one charger that's not working, there's multiple chargers. They all charge pretty fast, and it's pretty easy. Even on the app in the car, it'll tell you, the speed of the charger, how many people are how many spots are available. They just give you. They have the best charging process of anybody out there by far, and it's not even close. The next advantage they have is their pricing structure. It's dealer direct. It's you build out your vehicle exactly the way you want it, and you lock in a price, and then they make the car for you. With exception of a couple of the newer EVs like Rivian and so forth, and Lucid, most of the other EVs coming on the market have to go through a traditional dealer system, and customers, they don't enjoy that. If a company comes out with a new hot, popular EV, when the customer goes to look at it and possibly purchase it, a lot of times they're marked up. It's not a consistent pricing process across the different dealerships. Each one's a little bit different, and customers are frustrated with that. They don't like that process, And the fact that with Tesla's model of, yes, the pricing changes and goes up and down, and they can make price adjustments and sales, so to speak, but everybody gets the same pricing across the board. And a lot of customers are weary with the dealer processes, and they like the concept of direct from Tesla to the consumer. Next, over-the-air updates. So, and some other manufacturers have tried to do this, but over-the-air updates on the Teslas, you buy a car and the car slowly gets better every 2 or 3 months with new additional things and features that they just drop in the car, just like your phone. And it's pretty, when you first own a Tesla, it's pretty wild that you wake up one morning, you download an update, and all of a sudden you have a couple new features that are kind of cool. They drop out dog mode, where you can control the temperature in the car. And it puts it up on the screen. They drop in these little, cool little features that people get to use, and it really makes the car owning experience a little bit unique and special. And when they have recalls, 95% of their recalls they can solve with a software update. And that over-the-air update really changes the game. You feel like you have a not just a car, but you have a piece of technology that updates just like your cell phone or your computer. And that is really unique in the auto industry. All the other manufacturers are trying to catch up in that area. Tesla just has a big advantage there. Tesla always has the most advanced tech. Now, you can argue with this, and each manufacturer may have some little area where they are unique or special when it comes to that a certain part of tech. But as far as across the board, Teslas just always have the most advanced technology out there. Whether you're talking about self-driving or autopilot or self-driving features, that technology, they're just way ahead of everybody. If it comes to the app features, being able to literally, the amount of things you can do from the Tesla app, as far as open your trunk, unlock the car, lock the car, tracking the speed if someone's driving your car, putting it in valet mode, turning on the individual heated seats that you want front and back, the driver's seat and the rear right side, just all the things that you can do with the Tesla app. They're just all the manufacturers have apps, but the Tesla they're just way ahead of people when it comes to the advanced technology and different things. The computer chips used in the cars, the new Teslas that have come out in 22, the chips in them are the equivalent of like PS5 type of technology. Very soon, Tesla's talking about being able to play high-end games in your Tesla vehicle, because it already has that type of the speed and the processing speed of that type of technology. And they're just constantly ahead of everybody when it comes to the most advanced technology. And so, number two, let's the next topic. Now, the second topic we're going to talk about is Tesla as a company. Now, the products are compelling, right? But what if we go into a 2023 recessionary environment? Teslas are not inexpensive. We know that they're not cheap to purchase. And so, in a 2023 recessionary environment, there's a lot of questions about Tesla as a company. So, for the first time in 3 years, there's some demand concerns, right? And there's recession concerns. There are Elon Musk drama and Twitter concerns. There's revenue concerns. So let's talk about these one at a time. First of all, the demand concerns. Tesla's been on a backlog of demand for at least 18 months, 2 years, just as many cars as they can produce off the factory. They're selling them. 4 or 5, 6 months at a time, they were backed up, and they were able to use that to slowly increase pricing and boost some of their revenues. But the end of 22, there without a doubt was some demand issues, and the reason is very simple. There was absolutely no demand issues until the talk about an EV, a Tesla being able to be qualified for the new EV tax credit. So a lot of people who had Teslas on order, they did not want to take delivery to see if they were going to get a $7,500 tax credit. That's a good chunk of money to most people, and so that's where people started stopping purchasing Teslas, because they figured they might as well just wait a few more months till the beginning of the year you get a full tax credit, and that's when the production woes start. We saw that because at the end of the year when Tesla started matching, they did a first $3,750 discount if you bought in the last couple months, and then they raised it to $7,500. As soon as you did that, they were able to sell out massive amounts of fleets, and you'll see the numbers coming out soon. I think Tesla's going to end their quarter extremely strong as far as production, and so all of the production issues, I would say 90% had to do with the EV tax bill, people waiting to see what happens, and 10% due to increasing interest rates, right? But that affects all other automakers as well. Recession concerns. With increasing interest rates and recession concerns, how is Tesla going to do in a recession? Well, if I'm looking at any type of a company, the companies that have the largest margins have the ability to slowly lower costs on their products. And when it comes to automotives, Tesla by far has the largest margins of any auto manufacturer. Many times they'll have 20% margins on an automobile, which is really unheard of. Most auto manufacturers, their margins are extremely light, including the big guys like Toyota, very, very small margins. Even the big American manufacturers, small margins. Tesla has by far the biggest margins. And so going into a recessionary environment, if they have to, Elon's already mentioned this, if they have to, lower prices, they can do that substantially easier than other manufacturers. The other thing to think about is that Tesla was able to capitalize on the ability of changing their prices on the fly. Auto manufacturers can't do that. Typically, they have a structure for their MSRP for the entire year, and they can't really make drastic changes on the fly, typically with the MSRP pricing. And so a lot of the American manufacturers, from 2020, I talked about this in one of my last videos, from 2022 to 2023, we're seeing a big increase in the MSRPs of the vehicle. And, so they're seeing their own dealers market adjustments and marking up different hot vehicles, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $8,000. And the manufacturers are like, well, we want some of that cut. So they're raising the MSRPs. You're going to see across the board 2023 MSRPs jumping up 5, 8, 10%, which is substantially more than than typical years, along with every type of inflation. And what's going to happen as we go right into a recession, these other manufacturers are immediately raising their MSRPs. And then you're going to watch, they're going to have to start introducing, especially the more expensive vehicles, rebates and incentives, just like they did pre-COVID. Now, Tesla doesn't have to do that because, one, they're adjusting things on the fly, okay, month by month. During COVID, Tesla had like 7 or 8 price increases, and just recently they made some minor changes there. The other thing to keep in mind is when it comes to EVs, Tesla has a huge advantage going into 2023 because all of the majority of other EV vehicles had tax credits for 2022, and Tesla did not. Now Tesla has a $7,500 tax credit. So those prices that they've raised all of 2022, now they can kind of keep those same prices if need be for 2023, and they still get that tax credit because Tesla has some of the most American-made cars when it comes to the batteries and assembling of any vehicles out there. They're always like the top 4 or 5 cars as far as the percentage of made in America. Tesla is the number 1 at that, and that's going to help them qualifying for the most amount of tax incentives in this new EV bill. The batteries are made here. There's with the exception of the base model battery, I believe, comes from manufactured in their plant in China. But Tesla now has tax incentives which they haven't had for 3 to 4 years. Many of the other new EVs no longer qualify for full incentives. So it's a huge shift as far as that goes. And that positions, and it really happens just right in time for Tesla going into a recessionary year of 2023. Now, next you have the big drama, the elephant in the room, right? Elon buying Twitter, slanting almost seemingly in the last couple years more right, and I still wouldn't say hard right, but kind of poking fun at the woke crowd and even politically saying he's going to vote Republican. Just some weird drama with that stuff. Twitter, just taking a lot of heat from that side. And a lot of people, feel like this is going to hurt Tesla as a company. And it's possible. I mean, you never want to alienate a large amount of your consumers, right? So the typical, wisdom says, it's the difference between Michael Jordan and LeBron James, where Michael Jordan, he wanted everybody, politically, color, to buy his shoes, and LeBron James typically tends to make statements where he can and politicize different things. And there's a reason that Michael Jordan has made more on selling sneakers than any person alive, right? But when it comes to Elon Musk, can I just throw something out there? Can I, maybe he's a little smarter than people even think, when it comes to this stuff. If you think about this, we're going to have massive amounts of new EVs coming on the market. So if your vehicle, if you're only targeting your vehicle to people who are environmental or people who are trying to save money or one target audience, you have a whole chunk of the population that really is never going to want an EV. And now Elon, possibly, and this is just a theory here, okay? Maybe he is playing 4D chess. Maybe he is thinking 3 steps ahead. And as some of Tesla's market share is going to go to, other people trying different types of EVs, he knows that already. But if you have a huge chunk of the U.S. population that, is against EVs, but then all of a sudden, Elon has taken kind of a right turn and politically is, pushing himself more right when it comes to Twitter and exposing different things and all of this, then, if that crowd is going to buy an EV eventually, and, people are saying by 2030 and 2035 that 80% of the cars and 70% of the cars are going to be EVs, which manufacturer do you think they're going to consider? Well, it might be their Ford and the Chevy and so forth, but they also might be consider a Tesla, just because of that political stance as far as that goes. And so maybe Elon is thinking ahead where, instantly he puts his brand, instead of being the brand that is bashed by one side, now all of a sudden he's, yes, he's still polarizing, but he's always been polarizing. But now he's opened himself up to other consumers that normally would never want a Tesla because of the environmental stigma that they feel they have. So that's another point. Now, next, let's talk about revenue concerns, because this is understanding how Tesla as a company works. I don't think people understand how many different areas of revenue that Tesla has. They are not an auto company. They are a technology company. Tesla has, yes, the automobile sales. They also have a lot of upgrades in their vehicles. You have monthly services. You can sell data plans in the vehicle, so you can do different things like maps and streaming and so forth in the vehicle. They also have services. They sell self-driving upgrades. Basically a software update for $200 a month, where the vehicle has their new self-driving technology. And I know it's not there yet, but they have they're going to have an app store eventually where they can monetize that. They have a gaming thing coming where they can monetize that. They have their energy side of the business, which is a massive side of the business that people don't understand with the solar panels and the backup power batteries and so forth. They have their the AI development that they're using for the self-driving going into the robot. And as far as that goes, this AI robot, which is kind of weird, but he's talked about possibly making a cell phone if you need to. There's just so many the products that they sell. They'll come out with some cyber whistle or whatever, and they'll sell hundreds of thousands of these things just like that their store, their products. You have revenue. There's just a lot of revenue they haven't even tapped into. Tesla doesn't sell any aftermarket warranty products with their vehicles. That's an area they could add revenue. And a lot of people, somebody who, if you understand electric cars, that they're fairly low maintenance, fairly lot less mechanical issues. But you got to remember, when you're bringing customers over from BMW and Mercedes and other premium vehicles, a lot of those people are used to buying expensive aftermarket or extended warranties on those vehicles because of all the stuff in them. Tesla doesn't even do any of that. Tesla, as far as I know, doesn't really do aggressive amounts of financing, making money from that. Think about all the places that dealerships make their money from, all right? And Tesla hasn't even monetized all of that. There's lots of areas where Tesla can increase supercharging, increasing the cost in supercharging. If Tesla is in a situation where they need cash flow, they can increase supercharging. There's just many different inflows of revenue, and that is probably the least of my concerns when it comes to Tesla, because I understand all the different areas that they have that they could monetize and add to their cash flow if they needed it. And with Tesla as a company, it's kind of like they grow as they go. Is Tesla's good or bad for Turo? And that's a different topic, and it's a little bit unique to each industry. But what I would say is that if we look at the pros and cons to Teslas on Turo, okay, Teslas are always going to rent well on Turo. The problem is not do they rent well. The problem is how many vehicles are out there. And so if you're in your market and there's not a lot of Teslas around you, this may be a great time to add a Tesla into your fleet. We've already seen prices come down. We've already seen, for the first time, you'll be able to buy pre-owned Teslas, fairly reasonable in the next few months, I believe. And also, the one advantage that some of the new EV models have that are out there is they kind of have a little bit cooler styling. The Model Y and the Model 3, the styling on it, it's okay. The front is a little bit quirky, and so forth, kind of weird looking. And so the easiest way for Tesla to get a big influx of new purchases is by doing a refresh. And there's already spy shots out there of new Model 3s, at least, maybe Model Ys, that have a refresh, something different on the front and the back that they're covering up. And so I feel like Tesla's always pretty smart with this stuff, that they will drop a new a refresh, kind of like they did with the Model S when they had that original Model S design that kind of got a little bit old, and they did a new design for the front of it, just very small tweaks here or there that really gave it a nice refresh. And they could do the same thing on the inside. But as far as that goes, for Turo, the pros and the cons with Teslas, right? Pros, super low maintenance costs. These things, there's really nothing to do with these cars. Brake pads last forever, no oil changes. I mean, you're literally putting washer fluid, and that's about it, and wiper blades, and some tires here or there. They do go through tires a little bit more than normal, okay? People, as far as the issue with renting them a Turo is the amount of vehicles out there and what can you get for revenue-wise. And that's always been the issue. So, but you'll see some opportunities, and Teslas are one of the better EVs to rent on Turo just for the name recognition alone. As far as the charging infrastructure is great, so you don't have to worry about trying to make it difficult for your customers to find charging, and that's a big advantage to have it on Turo. So, all right, guys, that's enough deep dive today. That's enough. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm out.